sports journalism, like, I mean, to me, I feel like it's kind of an antiquated kind of thing, especially these days with social media and YouTube, and you know how easy it is basically to have your own platform now these days. I think it's that traditional kind of setup of ESPN anchor and all that. I feel like it's becoming kind of a antiquated type system, man.
I can't completely disagree with you there, man. At the same time, the position I'm in, like, with that said, some local stations have got rid of sports, but Reno is a market that would never like lose its local sports.
Yeah.
So when you're doing local sports, it's a little bit different. But with you said, the whole style, and yeah, I mean, there's people in our town that, you know, cover sports that don't have a platform like I do, a channel, but they still have a following, right? Like a television job that I have. So yeah, it's something you see a lot of now, which at the same time makes me even more motivated to like try new avenues of storytelling. And that's like, for me, it's never been like a TV or bust type of thing, for sure. And that's why, like, I, as much as I like pride myself of being like a good on camera presence and trying to like tell stories well in front of the camera, I like equally enjoy doing it, whether it's behind the camera, actually capturing video or still photos, or, doing audio stories or writing. Like, I try to stay as seasoned as I can in all aspects, because, as you said, and this was happening when we were in school too, the business was just ever changing. It was getting slowly into like that streaming. I remember my J101 professor was like, in 10 years from now, there will be no Blockbuster. And there was still, a few of those around when we were starting college. And sure enough, it was less than 10 years that was all wiped out. And, so yeah, we're seeing it now. I mean, everybody still watches like ESPN and whatnot, but you see a lot of their content is what are people doing? I mean, nowadays it's what people are doing at home, but a lot of their content is like people's people's Instagram posts, or what people are doing, on their Twitter account. Like, that's what they use. That's what a lot of their content is fed off of now, is like, how are other people telling their stories in their individual channels?
Right. So, I mean, like everybody through middle school, high school, I was watching SportsCenter every single day. It was just something that was constantly on TV, and you were watching ESPN every single day. You're watching top 10s, you're watching recaps, you're watching all these, behind the scenes stuff. But I literally have not watched ESPN probably since beginning of college. Like, honestly, like, outside of, games and programming and stuff like that, but like actually like their programming, like the original program, I probably have not watched a single episode of anything, because like I said, like, with social media and the new age of streaming and everything, like, you don't even need recaps for them, because it's on Instagram that moment it happens. Like, if you see a play happen, it's literally on Instagram from NBA themselves, like on their own platform. It's happening at the moment, or somebody else is posting it, or somebody's capturing it. So I don't even need to like go through them for recaps or top 10s or anything like that. And then it's like the news reporting, you don't really need that because it's also out there on Twitter and whatever, literally the second it happens. So it's like, it's a declining, effect, and now they're just relying more on their talk shows and like their debate platforms and stuff like that. But even then it's like, it's becoming so crowded of a space. It's hard to see where it necessarily goes from that. And I think ESPN in particular has been pretty slow about adapting. Like, even on YouTube, they just started putting like fuller clips of like their stuff on there, because they would put like 2 minutes of like some topic or whatever, while like Fox Sports was putting whole segments of their, Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. They were doing huge numbers on YouTube, probably almost as more than they were doing on TV, and I don't know. It's just weird to see like where it's all going, because you don't really need a personality per se to really give you that behind the scenes look, because athletes are doing that themselves, like without anybody in between. So they're getting their own messaging out there. And then on top of that, just Joe Smo is giving his opinion and stuff out there on YouTube or whatever. And like, and there's whole channels that get millions of hits that literally don't have a face to them, but people like following them just because they're giving, that type of information without having to go through pay that cable subscription or whatever, for it. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of where that goes. Cause me personally, like, after the years, like, I got being in it so long that I'm more interested, like, more about like the storytelling aspect of it than necessarily just the straight up news reporting and recap stuff.
Well, yeah, that's like, I mean, some days the gig is kind of monotonous. And that was something that, I mean, even before I got into it, the business had already changed, because it's not about getting it first. It's not about being first on air anymore. It's long not been about that. It's about being first on social media. It's about like live streaming the news as it's happening. Like you want to like see it as it's happening. And so, yeah, like when I look at my sportscast, it's tough because like a lot of times I feel like I'm telling you things you already know. And so I need to like try to like be unique about it. You know what I mean? Or like make you chuckle, or like, I don't know. It's just like some days are like very difficult to be like, how am I going to like really present something to you that like you're like interested in? And like is new to you. And like I think your medium everybody's medium is different. Like with me, I think like a lot of like, I think our demographic is probably a lot of some people that probably don't like, you know, get as much social media news. So like, there's probably trying to say that there's a lot of old people that watch the news. So I have a feeling that like, you know, we're first to tell them a lot of things, but there's a lot of people that, yeah, they'll just watch it and be like, oh, I knew about this, you know, when it happened at 2:00 today.
Yeah. Like even if I'm not trying to know what happened, like somehow it's going to hit your stream like some way. Yeah. If you follow somebody that follows somebody, like it's just going to somehow hit your stream. And by the time, like if you were waiting, like in the old days, waiting until like ESPN came on or whatever, that is like, oh, this is old. This is like super old news by now. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole story twisted since then. And it's just like, you know, like you said, now they're like reporting on social, like ESPN were doing like whole segments on like, you know, Antonio Brown's latest tweet, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. It's just like, man, it's interesting to see how shit is going, you know? It's becoming, I feel like more and more like TMZ type reporting than it is just because traditional sports reporting is just, it's changing.
No, and I'll be right honest. I'm right there with you. I don't watch a ton of ESPN. One, because I don't have cable at home. I do have it at the station, but no, I just at the same time I don't need that really. Like that's not my forte. I'm not one. And there's some local. And it's like to each their own, you know, we're all different in our storytelling, but like some will do that kind of storytelling where they show athletes, maybe it's even just like an athlete at the local university, they'll blow up one of their tweets or whatever, or they'll show like some of their stuff. And I do that here and there more so if a kid's like announcing he's going to transfer or something like that, or you know what I mean? But I try not to like get too involved or like get too gung ho about like those kind of, you know, niche things of like, just, I don't know, like sensationalizing too much stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they feel like that's the only way they can really reach people now these days is like focusing on the sensationalization of shit because there's so much just information out there that it's hard to even get through. And yeah, it's really like, I really don't know where it's going to head because I just don't see that model continuing to work for too much longer like that. Like it's just the amount of money you're going to have to put in to do that and the amount of money you're going to receive back from it is not going to equal out like that because like I said, people aren't really turning towards those sources for their media news and whatever.
It's interesting times for sure. And it's also like the whole like daily cycle, like trying to keep it fresh. Whereas I think you would agree, like what we would be more inclined to wanting to do is stuff that like takes longer to like form, you know, like a long form kind of story that like you put time into. Those are always the ones that like I love doing the best, things that I get to like sink my teeth into a little bit. Yeah. But in like our, you know, world, it's so everything's so quick that it's on to the next. So I can't tell you how many stories I've like pushed out that I'm like, man, I wish I could have had like another hour with this, but I just can't. Like it needs to air now and then I need to move on to the next thing. And I think that's sometimes very frustrating. So
yeah, I mean, those platforms aren't built for that, you know, and they need to see the return on it, and spending, you know, months of research on something isn't gonna necessarily be their big piece, especially on TV.
It's not sexy, man.
Yeah. Like, but I mean, one good thing about it with YouTube and stuff, I think that type of video essay, type of more deep dive stuff is coming back on those type of platforms online because it can like literally live there for forever how long, you know, people can just keep rediscovering and finding it. Whereas TV, you have to be kind of there for the moment, you know, like, yeah, it's some on demand shit, but it's like not the same outside of like their 30 for 30 type stuff. Like I think that type of stuff lives so much better online.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of opening that up.
Even sometimes when they just have, and there's only like certain ESPN reporters that really hit it out of the park, but like a Tom Rinaldi, like 6-minute feature story, like those even go crazy. Like people just really love those. But then as you said, like 30 for 30, those are the ones that people really talk about like forever. Like, have you seen that one? Have you seen that one? It's not, did you see that highlight the other night, or did you see Antonio Brown's tweet? Speaking of that, how about man, I'm drawing a blank on the name, Last Dance or whatever. That's coming out early now.
Michael Jordan, 10-part documentary. I think there's no better time to put something out like that than now, quite honestly. Like, Jordan's always going to do huge numbers no matter what. And then you have a whole 10-part in-depth documentary like that. Yeah, like that's now. That's basically going to be their whole year, basically, I think.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. 10 parts. And it sounds like it's all this video that, I'm just looking it up, April 19th, the first one.
Yeah,
all this video that hasn't been seen and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, I think that behind the scenes looks are the ones that people really like crave. Like, just just the reporting. Not so much because, like you said, you just get it anywhere. Like, literally anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they're going to have to start shifting for sure, like heavily, if I think they're going to continue to be successful, you know.
Well, there's
at the rate that they were.
Yeah, they just have so many resources that they can afford. It almost feels like to lack in certain areas and then make up for it in other places. But yeah, you said it. They got a lot. They got stuff. Everybody's got a little stuff to shore up in certain spots. But I mean, this time is given. Yeah, it's just weird to go on those pages, even like ESPN.com, and to see the stuff they're pumping out at you, because it's just. I mean, like you said, there's no blueprint for this though, right? Like, you don't know what to like. I don't know. What are people trying to soak in right now? It's just a weird time.